Oh, Tommy, maybe one day we can be together. Oh, fuck. Alright. Settle down there. Let's settle down. Let's get right into it. Welcome to my end of the year review, where I'm going to review the 6 movies that I watched that I didn't make actual videos on, because I'm broke as fuck and I didn't see any movies. Now this time last year, I was actually going to make this exact same video, and I was going to talk about my favorite movies from 2018. That obviously fell through because the video was a heaping pile of shit. And I didn't want to make something really shit because I didn't want people to think that's what my videos were going to look like. And then I make 2 videos that are shit. And that's probably why I don't get any views on my newest videos. Nonetheless, I didn't want to rush into making a YouTube channel without knowing really exactly what it is that I wanted. So I rushed into making this YouTube channel. But I wanted to wait until a movie came out that I actually wanted to kind of sort of talk about, in depth. At first it was going to be Glass. I'm going to talk about Glass. I waited until Endgame came out. And then Shazam, and I made videos on those ones. And those videos are really long. They have the most views that I have on any of my videos. But I wanted to switch up my content, make them a little shorter, because we do have really small attention spans. I wanted to wait until I sort of found a structure that I wanted to make these videos into. But I thought I would go back and talk about the movies that I did see, that I did make full-length videos on. And then at the end of the video, I'm gonna make my top 5 favorite ones or some shit. But this video is going to be cut into 3 separate parts. First part I'm going to talk about is the movies that I did not like, that are really, really bad. Second part is I'm going to talk about the movies that I thought were alright. They weren't anything special, they weren't bad, they weren't great. I'd probably watch them again, but it's not something I would immediately rush to go do. The third part of this video, I'm going to talk about the movies that I really, really liked. Well, let's go ahead and just get into the first part. Movies I thought were really, really bad. I'm also going to keep these kind of short and sweet. I don't want to make this video super long. Also puts timestamps for each section if you just want to watch a specific movie that I'm going to talk about briefly. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to see if there's any movie you want to skip to, or you can just watch the whole thing. It kind of looks a lot better in my analysis. But go ahead, do whatever you want. I don't care. First movie I want to talk about is Lion King. Holy hecko mode. This movie is bad, guys. And I wasn't excited for this movie, except for the cast. The cast for this movie is actually kind of large and cool. It's actually kind of crazy how they had this many known actors in this live-action Disney movie. I'm using live-action very, very loosely in this term. So I'll give this movie 2 things that I liked about it. The cast, and it looks really cool. This movie looks very beautiful for the most part. Disney knows how to make very beautiful movies. I'll give them that. It's not really fucking hard to do. My biggest problem with these new Disney remakes is obviously they're just for money. Everybody knows that. We're not idiots. We understand that. But my only issue with this is that there's nothing new being brought to these tables. And I guess that's kind of self-explanatory, is that it's just a live-action remake. That's what it is. It never said that it was going to reinvent anything. But my issue is with things that are being drawn out in animation, you can draw emotion and you can draw emotion. My main issue with this movie is that none of these animals express emotion. I don't know why, but none of them do. Simba, Scar, and Mufasa get mad at times, but I can't fucking tell. I can barely tell apart these animals. The only one that's obviously different is Scar, and then the female and the male lion. I don't know who the fuck everybody is unless they talk. It's hard as fuck to decipher between the 2 animals. At least when they're animated, they're all drawn differently. You can tell which ones are which ones. And nobody speaks with any emotion. Yeah, you guys are fucking animals, but you could at least fucking say something. And I was actually really hyped for Eric Andre to be in a Disney movie, and then I kind of thought about it a little more, and then I watched the movie, and he has 4 lines in this movie, and I knew they weren't going to give him a main role because of how controversial he really is, but it was just kind of disappointing. 3.5, very bland, but I'm gonna give it a 0.5 because when I went to go see it, the couple that was also in the theater with me had brought their security or guard dog with them, and it was this really big dog, and when I saw it, it put a smile on my face because I like dogs. Dogs are really cool. Transition screen to the next movie, Pet Cemetery.
Leads to local pet cemetery.
Pet cemetery? I love pets.
I've never seen the original Pet Sematary, which I don't think really matters. This movie's fucking terrible. It's fucking boring. It's so dumb. I understand the concept of this movie. It's basically the original one, I believe, but it's the little girl instead of the little boy this time. Ooh, women's rights. This movie looks kinda good. The cinematography in it looks really nice, but like it's really fucking gray and ugly for most of the time. I was like the only person in the theater when I saw this movie. Like, actually, I don't think there's another single person in this theater when I saw it. And there's so much build up and there's so much set emotion that's supposed to happen, and then it just like ends in like the dumbest possible way. Like, oh, the cat turns into a zombie. Oh fuck, it's bad. Let's turn this little girl also into a zombie because I can't live without my daughter. What are you, fucking stupid? Obviously I can't live without my daughter, you old man.
Okay, boomer.
But if that wasn't enough, the little girl, and then the mom, and the dad, they all turn into zombies. Fucking cool. They burn down a house. Fucking cool. This movie's fucking lame. And then there's like a baby. I think it's a baby. I don't know. There's like a baby trapped in a car, and then the family goes to get it, but like they're all zombies. That's how the movie ends. This doesn't make any sense. 1 out of 10. Bleh. I don't see myself ever watching this movie again. I really don't recommend it. Transition screen to the next movie. Tall Girl.
You think your life is hard. I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes.
A Netflix original film. This movie is shit, obviously. There was a lot of memes that came out with this movie. Every YouTuber pretty much made a video about this movie, which is fine. It's easy content. I wish I would have done it, but I didn't. Oh well. Now, if you don't know anything about this movie, watch it. It's actually hilarious. Get drunk or like, you know, don't do drugs, but like definitely do drugs when you watch this movie.
llikybirdy does not promote the use of alcohol or illegal substances. If you do watch this movie under the influence, we cannot be held accountable if you do dumb shit.
She's completely done growing. She's 6'1". Cool. You wear size 13 Nikes in men. Now, this movie was obviously made by nobody that understands what it's like to grow up in nowadays high school. Because the cast to this movie is fucking offensive.
Douglas, what's your problem, man? You are, man. You are. You're lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
I just came out of high school, and I went to a primarily Hispanic high school, so I can't really, I guess, relate to regular white high schools. This movie's fucking dumb. This movie's completely doesn't understand how high school actually works, and nobody's gonna tease this girl for being tall. I don't know if you know this, but girls don't like being short either. It's not just a like, oh, I'm a girl, so like I obviously have to be short, guys, hug me. 2 out of 10. It's fucking hilarious. Told you I was just like, I'm just sliding through these. I'm going fast. I'm like Superman fast. Speaking of shitty Supermans, did I say shitty? Yeah, let's talk about Brightburn. I had really high hopes for this movie. I'll be honest, I was really excited for this movie to come out. This could have changed superhero movies and comic movies before Joker even came out. Only if it was done correctly. When I saw that James Gunn co-signed onto this movie, I kind of thought that was like a sign of hope, that this movie kind of had something, but it didn't. The whole structure to this movie is probably what I have to complain about most. The acting is also shit.
I want him in handcuffs and I want him gone. Do you even know who his real mother is?
I'm his real mother.
Let's go.
Bitch, I hope the fuck you do. You'll be a dead son of a bitch, I tell you that.
Movie's shot with like no emotion. There's a lot of tension and emotion in this movie that there's multiple placements for that to happen. It just doesn't. Because if you don't know, this movie is basically just like evil Superman. Like if Superman was a kid and he just didn't want to be a goody-goody, he's one mean mamma jamma now. Now, this concept was actually kind of cool. I thought that this, you know, could have like endorsed something really awesome to happen. It could have been like setting up this Dark Justice League, which it actually does at the end of the movie, but like it's not gonna amount to anything because this movie didn't make any fucking money because it's bad. And it's actually kind of insane that a movie like this kind of got made with the like superhero climate that we're in right now. A lot of shit in this movie just kind of happens without explanation, and it's really lame. It's really dumb. 2 out of 10. Can I please get a Flashpoint movie now? I want a Flashpoint movie. I just want a Flash movie. I'll be honest. I would literally kill for a Flash movie. The next movie I want to talk about is Glass. Hello? They call me Mr. Glass. or ass, essentially, because that's what this movie is. Again, I had really high hopes for this movie. Unbreakable was kind of really good, and Split is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I feel like Split's a movie like everybody has to watch before they die. That movie's really good. And then when I learned that this movie, I was super hyped, I'm not gonna lie. I was like really giddy for this movie to come out. I get to see James McAvoy be a fucking maniac again for like 2 hours. Then I remember M. Night Shyamalan directed them, and M. Night Shyamalan's not the best director, but he's not the worst. I can't give him all this shit for this movie. It's not primarily his fault why this movie isn't good. Recently, Bruce Willis kind of just seems like he doesn't want to be in like any movies anymore. Maybe he's going through a tough time. You know, I'll get back to him, don't worry. Samuel Jackson, I have no idea what he's doing in this movie. He's not playing the same character as he was in Unbreakable. It's kind of strange. For half the movie, he's just like brain dead. It's like, oh cool, you can play a fucking potato, congratulations. And again, he's the big fucking mastermind that's planning literally everything in this movie. He like knows everything that's gonna happen in this movie, and it all plays out super perfectly. Like as if it's fucking Return of the Jedi. And his acting is also really shit in this movie too. It's kind of fucking annoying. And fucking fucking James McAvoy in this movie he's really good. I don't have anything to say. He's really good in this movie. I don't have anything bad to say against him. I love you, James McAvoy. You're such a good actor. I'm sorry you had to be in this movie. You know, the story and the writing and the editing and the way the movie is shot is just so bland. Garbage. Everything else about this movie is garbage besides James McAvoy's character. He should have just made a Split 2, let's be honest. I could have lived without Glass. As much as I was excited for this movie, if he would have just made a Split 2, it probably would have been a lot better, and I would have cared a lot more. Bruce Willis like softly moans all of his lines in this movie, and he looks like he's like acting at 25% capacity, and it's so fucking annoying. Like, we know you can act. Like, we know you can fucking act. We've seen it, just like the fucking dead people. We understand. We know you can act. You're just not fucking trying. 2.5 out of 10. I'm gonna have a goddamn aneurysm. I don't like this movie. This next movie. Oh, fuck. I forgot I had this movie on here. Ma!
I don't have a meme for this movie. I just really hate this movie. Please do not watch this movie.
So out of all the movies that I've seen this year, I would probably watch all of them again. As much as I don't want to, I will never watch Ma ever again. I will never watch this movie ever again. This movie is beyond the worst thing I've seen this year. So grab a seat because I'm gonna shit all over this movie. I cannot stress enough how stupid the plot to this movie is. Shit just kind of happens. The characters should have no fucking reasoning for this shit to happen, but it does. It just does, and everything just goes along with what the fuck is happening. And if you don't know anything about this movie, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. Don't worry. That's what I'm here for. The movie follows Ma and her gang of riffraffs, high schoolers. Yep, they're all in high school, and she's a grown woman. Go ahead and just continue that. All these kids just want to smoke and drink and get fucked up, dude. That's fine. It's dumb, but it's fine. But whatever. You know, okay. In this world, that's whatever. I'll play along. And then that's when shit kind of just goes off the rails. Ma gets attached to these kids after buying drinks for them once because she just wants to have a good teenage high school experience. Wait a minute. Did you say a good teenage high school experience? Because out of nowhere, there's this fucking side plot that shows that when she was in high school, she wanted to be one of these kids. She wanted to be a fucking delinquent. And she ends up sucking some guy's dick in the bathroom that she had a crush on at the time, in a fucking janitor's closet in her high school. It wasn't actually him. They pranked her.
You just got pranked, bro!
In this little riffraff group of friends that she has now been firmly acquainted with, one of the kids is actually the son to the guy that she had a crush on. Yeah, hold on to your socks, it's about to get fucking crazy. And then she goes insane. 30 years later, she goes fucking insane. And then, like, kidnaps the dad, kills the mom with a fucking car, and then kills the dad by like putting dog blood in his vein because all men are dogs. She like cuts off his dick. Well, that's not it. That's not the craziest part of this movie. The one part to this movie that genuinely makes me not want to watch this is that there's one other black kid in this riffraff group, and she grabs white paint and paints over the black guy's face and whispers in his ear.
They've only got room for one of us.
I'm gonna leave leave that one right there. I'm not gonna touch that subject. But then obviously the kids all escape, yada yada yada. And instead of getting out of her own fucking home, she decides to go upstairs where the dead guy is, she had a crush on, and lays next to him as her house is burning to the fucking ground. She just must be tired, guys. She's obviously old. She's had a rough day. I get it. You know, she's just tired. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how I got through this movie. It was really difficult. It's a 0 out of 10. Like, I'm being honest. This movie is fucking garbage. I will never watch this movie again. And before we get into this second portion, I do want to give a quick shout out to my friend Luis for editing this second part for me. I got really bored and I just didn't want to do it. So here's his socials. I don't know if you want to follow him. Yeah, whatever. Thank you. Thank you, Luis. Let's go ahead and talk about the movies that I thought they're all right. They're pretty good. First one I want to talk about, I don't think a whole lot of people knew about this movie. It was called Escape Room. I went into this movie just thinking it was like another horror flop, and it kind of did because I don't think a whole lot of people watched it, and that's fine. This movie didn't do anything to break cinema or push the boundaries on anything horror or thriller, and it's just really just a nice clean horror movie. It's a nice psychological thriller. This is a group of randomly picked people that just now have to escape this room from death. And I just wanted to bring this movie up really quick just because it's not a bad movie. I didn't fully hate it, but I didn't like completely fall in love with it. And if you're looking just for like a weird horror-ish movie, it's not a bad one to pick up. It's not bad, it's not great, it's in this category. 5.5 out of 10. Detective Pikachu. Now this movie I actually really loved, and I kind of really hoped that this movie wasn't just another video game movie. This movie was actually really entertaining. If you grew up liking Pokemon, or if you still like Pokemon, you'll probably enjoy this movie. Now there's a lot of things that are, you know, really campy and corny with this movie, but it's based off a child's video game. So, I mean, I give it a lot of leeway on the stuff that happened. It's not perfect, it's not amazing or anything, but it's probably the closest thing we've gotten to a good video game movie. Special effects in this movie actually look really nice throughout the whole thing. I won't spoil anything, but the ending is the ending is fucking hilarious. I don't really want to go into specifics about it because, I mean, it is a child's movie. It is based off a child's video game. I'm only really talking about it because most of my life I kind of just grew up with Pokemon. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10, but like a really good solid 6 out of 10. Next movie I'm going to talk about is everybody's favorite superhero movie that came out this year, Captain Marvel. So yeah, this movie got a lot of hate when it came out. Now, I did enjoy this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy it, but I did have obviously my problems with it. In this massive of a world that the MCU is now created, you can't just say, oh, here's Captain Marvel's origin story. It took place in the 90s, you know, like 20 years before anything else happened. I really don't like prequels, and I don't like prequels when they're already a part of a much larger universe. One, like I said, especially in a world this big, it's really hard to iron out all the details for it to make really coherent sense. 2, it's kind of fucking lazy. And 3, for this movie, their whole reasoning for her not being in other Marvel movies is, oh, she has to protect other worlds, but you know, she can't be fucked to save her own home planet. Outer world problems are happening to it. I'm looking at you, Avengers 1. I'll give that a pass on like Infinity War though. That movie took place in over like a day. Not even Nick Fury knew what the fuck was happening in that movie. Really and honestly, I don't think this movie is bad. I don't think this movie is very amazing or great. It's not one of the best Marvel movies, but it kind of looks really ugly a lot of the time. This movie's really just kind of bland and gray until like the last half when like shit happens. But like every Marvel movie, it has its problems, and I can't ignore that. I'm done giving comic book movies passes just because I grew up around comics. If I'm going to continue to do this, I have to judge them like a actual film. And now that they're a part of this much bigger universe, I'm going to be demeaning on these movies a lot harder. I'm going to attack them just like I would any other movie. I was going to give this movie like a 4 out of 10. Maybe a 5. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's not Incredible Hulk. Now here's one movie I know people really wanted me to make a video on. And I was going to, but I think just now I've really grasped that entire movie. I'm talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. Now for a while now I've wanted to make a video about Spider-Man because honestly I love Spider-Man. It's kind of like with my Star Wars review, like Spider-Man and Star Wars is kind of like my shit. I fucking love those two mediums. And I love every adaptation of Spider-Man. From the video games, to the comics, to the movies, to the TV show. Yes, I said all adaptations. Even Tobey Maguire. This movie has a lot of flaws with it. Like, I don't want to admit it, but it does. This movie follows up to Endgame, and I really, really wish it didn't. I do like this version, this MCU version of Spider-Man. I really do like it. Now, I can criticize this movie for really not knowing what kind of movie it wants to be. Is it a rom-com with MJ and Peter? Or is it a movie where Peter's fighting with his own emotions about losing Tony? Is it a generic Marvel film with the big bad guy that just, you know, kind of wants to make his own plan come into proceed? Yeah, it's all of these movies, and it's not good. Now, I don't like what this movie, you know, is trying to be. I don't even think it knows what it wants to be. The writing is, you know, just as good as it was in the first one. But, like, Spider-Man's a funny character, but, like, most of the time, he's not even the one doing half the jokes. The visuals to this movie is really nice. Jake Gyllenhaal's in this movie, and he's fantastic. Having Mysterio in a fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe movie is something I will always love and cherish, especially being played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal. I just can't ignore all these basic errors that this movie makes. This movie takes Endgame, this 10-year in the making movie, and just like shits all over it within like the first 10 seconds. This movie doesn't know what it wants to be. To be honest, neither do I. So I'm gonna rate this movie a little differently. Personal score, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10 because I just love Spider-Man. As a film critic score, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. If I'm not just like turning my brain off and watching this movie, yeah, it's great, it's fantastic. But if I'm paying attention, this movie doesn't really work all that well for me. What the fuck? It, Chapter 2. So I had a script written out for this movie, focusing on how I really, really like this movie. Then I rewatched it. Really don't like this movie now. The first It movie, well, not the first one, but the most recent one, is a really lighthearted but extremely creepy horror thriller, and it's also a really good movie. But the best part of the first one was the charm and this connection that these kids have. All these kids seem like they've been best friends their entire lives. And I could talk about that movie all day, but we're talking about Chapter 2 right now. And it's not to say that the grown-up version of this cast doesn't kind of transcend that charm and shit. 'Cause they kind of do. But they split up the cast way too many times. I think there's like a handful of times to where all the full cast is together at times. And I know to give them all proper screen time, to give them all their own nightmare scenes, but like they could have all just had one giant nightmare scene. I think it would have been a lot cooler to watch them all struggle together with having this gigantic nightmare scene. But they all do these things alone when, like, they know that the only way they can beat this thing is being together. It's like the first thing you learn in the first one. Now, I don't have any necessarily technical problems with this movie. I guess the story and the writing is kind of my main problems with it. I think the way this movie is kind of like an indie horror movie is actually kind of cool. I think it's shot really nice and it's really visually appealing, but the pacing can get really slow at times and scenes just drag on. Like, this movie is kind of long. I wouldn't call this a bad movie, but it's not something that I'm probably gonna watch again. Maybe if like one of my friends hasn't seen it, I'll probably watch it with them, but like it's nowhere near as good as the first one. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. It could have been a lot stronger, but it really just wasn't. Alright guys, we're almost done. This video is getting kind of long, so I only have like I think like 3 movies here to talk about. I haven't seen Uncut Gems because I don't want to. And I did watch Parasite, and I'll talk about Parasite kind of, but I'm not gonna make it in-depth portion of it. I really like Parasite. I just want to keep it here in my heart. So let's go ahead and talk about the movies that I really loved. First one is gonna be Lighthouse. Oh boy, did I love this movie. Now going into this movie, I had no idea what it was going to be like at all based off of, and I just know that it was being praised left and right by kind of every reviewer, and this movie deserves all of that praising. The editing and the camera work. This movie's filmed in 4:3 aspect ratio. It's being shot in black and white, and this is Robert Eggers, like an egg and then second movie, and it's amazing. It's better than The Witch, but I still kind of like The Witch. But this movie is definitely better. And you can obviously tell that he's just getting better and better with making movies. I just wish more people would have seen this movie. It didn't do as well as it probably should have, you know, even with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in this movie. It had a pretty low budget of only $4 million. And I know that's obviously a lot, but when you're making a movie kind of like this, it's really not. There's no real concrete story based along this movie that I could really decipher from. But once you start this movie and you just continue to keep watching it, you understand more and more what it is. And honestly, if you watch the trailer for this movie and you want to watch it, please do. This movie is really good, and I wished a lot more people watched it. I don't recommend a lot of movies just based of kind of whatever, but if you like really artsy fartsy indie films, I implore all of you to watch this movie. It is really good. 9.5 out of 10. Give Dafoe an Oscar, please. Next movie is A Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now this movie is also really good. I don't have a lot of complaints about this movie. One, I guess I would like to see the characters be kind of broadened out a lot more. Sharon's character, or you know, even the like little snippet of Charles Manson's character that we were supposed to have a lot more of. Looking at this movie, I really like it. I watched it in theater, and I've even rewatched it twice since getting it for 4K. This movie is basically just Quentin Tarantino fucking around in like the 50s and 60s, and I love that shit. Quentin Tarantino just fucking around with cinema is like the best shit to me. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters are so nice working together. Their acting and their chemistry is like some of the best shit I've seen this year. The movie's music and the way it's shot and it's edited is, you know, as perfect as Quentin Tarantino's gonna do it, and it's really nice. This has kind of been like a lightning round. I only have one other movie to talk about, but like, I just don't have a lot to say about this movie, and I just really like it. If you like Quentin Tarantino films, then you're gonna love this movie. There's no doubt in my mind. Also, people kind of got upset about like the Bruce Lee portion of it, but like, Bruce Lee was in the movie for like 2 minutes. You guys need to get over it. 9 out of 10. I fucking love this movie. Now, I'm going to talk about the Marriage Story, and I really like this movie. This movie visually just looks really great. The writing is really amazing, and the acting is good. For as much as people want to meme this one scene that Adam Driver's in,
you always made me aware of what I was doing wrong, how I was falling short. Life with you was joyless.
What, so then you had to go and fuck someone else?
You shouldn't be upset that I fucked her. You should be upset that I had a laugh with her.
It's good. It's good storytelling. It's good writing. And if you have just genuine problems with this movie, it just doesn't work for you, that's completely fine. I understand that. But people purposely attacking this movie because Adam Driver is in it, and Adam Driver was in this new Star Wars trilogy you may have heard of. People attack this movie and Rian Johnson's Knives Out movie because of both of them being a part of it, and it's fucking ridiculous. Adam Driver as a character did not destroy your childhood, so you shouldn't applaud every other movie that he's in. Adam Driver is a really good actor. I really like Adam Driver. This movie goes from a happy New York family that runs a business, you know, and they're just happy. That's what they are. They're just a happy, you know, normal American family, to I hate my life and I don't want to be a part of this family. Within like 10 minutes of on-screen shit. Imagine the difficulty that Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson had to work with to morph together a relationship of like 10 plus years. Yes, I know that's like their job as actors and actresses, but putting themselves in the mindset of them falling in love and, you know, starting a brand, you know, these aren't easy things just to like be like, oh yeah, that's what I do. That's it. That's what I do. Okay, I got you. All right. Scene. But they both do these things extremely well. You can have problems with this movie, and if you just don't like it because it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. This movie was supposed to service a certain audience. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Now, at the time of this video, I have not seen Uncut Gems, like I said. I have not watched Irishman, like I kind of made a poll about that I was going to do. But you guys weren't nice to my Knives Out review, so you don't deserve it. And I've kind of been working on this video for like the past month. The first part of this video is really long, as you can see. I obviously liked a lot less movies than I hated, and I don't really have anything else to say. But here's my top 5 favorite movies from this year. Now, the top 3 placements that I had to do on this was actually kind of difficult. I knew A Marriage Story was 5 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was 4, but I really couldn't place Lighthouse, Parasite, and Joker in a certain spot. I love all these movies individually in different ways, and different things kind of do, you know, certain things for me, and then they all just work, but I couldn't really place them all in different spots. If I had to really say it, Joker, Parasite, and Lighthouse are all in the one spot for me. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Marriage Story go in 2nd and 3rd. Now, before I end this video, I do want to give all of you a big thanks for just making it to this point. And thank you for watching my videos all of like half of 2019. In 2020, I'm going to try to go a lot harder on making videos. I know I kind of fucked off a lot and making videos that I said I was going to, but I'm going to also be trying to make different types of content like this kind, where I just kind of talk about a specific movie, a set of movies, or even like a TV show. I don't know yet. I don't want to just make all my videos like 5-minute reviews and then that kind of just being it. I kind of want to branch off and do other things also. My goal for this year is to break 500 subscribers. I know that's kind of not a lot. It'll mean a lot to me. And I'm kind of the only person that can do that by just making content. But if you guys want to support me, you can go ahead and share my profile, share my videos, like them, you know, just staying up to date. Here's all my socials if you want to follow me and such, so you can stay up to date. Or you can, you know, click the subscribe and the fucking bell notification. I don't know. You know, do whatever you want. Thank you guys for watching my videos, and I'll see you in my next review.